Tommy, very disappointing night last Saturday. Duke UNC. It was a special night to be a part of that program and get to experience that.
Are you over it yet?
Yeah, I'm over it. It was a celebration of Coach. We lost the game. But I will say this. The first thing I did, I sent Harrison Barnes $200 on Cash App.
The worst Cash App send you will ever send.
Not happy about it. I do want to mention one disclaimer. Since the time that we recorded this, Russell Westbrook gave a press conference talking about death threats given to him and his family. And we do talk about Russ on this episode of Patrick Beverley. We felt it was appropriate given the history of the two players and given that Pat had recently tweeted about Russ, and so we asked him about it. We are not here to pile on Russ at all. In fact, whether it's been on this podcast or whether it's been on ESPN, I have not taken any shots at Russ. This is not a shot at Russ. Our conversation with Pat, people know I'm a fan of Russ, like him as a human being, like him as a person, like him as a basketball player. But again, given the history of the two, we do have a conversation towards the end of the interview about Russ, but not here to pile on Russ at all. All right, let's welcome in Patrick Beverley. Pat, thank you so much for doing this. We should mention that we did have you on a previous iteration of this pod, the JJ Redick podcast. I think you were our last episode that we ever did with The Ringer.
Nice.
And I can unequivocally say that it was my favorite episode that we did at The Ringer. So the bar's high for today. The bar is high for today.
I'm kind of tipsy, so that means I'm going to be saying some wild shit, so I'm locked in.
I actually think we should start with some comments you made when you were traded to the T-Wolves. And I'm paraphrasing here, but the gist of it was, I have never missed the playoffs in my career, and I don't plan on that starting this year. Something like that. Like your expectation was going into this season that you guys were going to be a playoff team. Am I missing something though? Am I missing something on that playoff run? Because I've looked at the teams you were on, and 17-18, it seems like there's a gap in that playoff run.
I got hurt. I got the microfracture.
Yeah, but the Clippers didn't make the playoffs that year.
That was the year I had the microfracture. So my argument is the reason they didn't make it because I was hurt. That's the only thing. I was 10 games in. I got the microfracture that took me out the whole season. I can't do nothing about that. But that's the year I wasn't. The year I was hurt. Obviously, the year I don't make it. So,
well, the history books would say otherwise. I would say that. What did give you the confidence coming to this team that was coming off a 23-49 season in 2021, a 19-45 season in 22? Like, what gave you the confidence that? All right, I think I had that reversed, but what gave you the confidence that this team could be a playoff team? You guys are, as of this recording, you're 34-29 and sitting in 7th place in the West.
Yeah, the makeup of the team. Obviously, it started with Cat, and and then it's surrounded with D'Lo and Ant. But I think the coach, he was my coach in the Houston Rockets. The head strength and development guy, he was my guy with the Houston Rockets. Ironically, the guy that I worked with before I even started my professional career overseas, he's the head of developmental and training. So the pizza was there. It was just, I had to line up and get there. Obviously, I took the route of, I had to go through Memphis to get to where I wanted to go, but it all played out right way.
Pat, we talk about the team culture a lot on the show. We talk about the Heat, Phoenix now, San Antonio. And how do you develop? You've been on a lot of great teams. How do you develop team culture this quickly? Because it does seem like this team, even in the last couple months, has taken on, a shift. Obviously, you're winning, but it just seems like everybody is in a much better place. How does it happen, like at this speed?
I say honesty, right? JJ, been on a team, NBA players and all-stars, and, and the biggest problem with teams is, a lot of guys aren't honest with each other. So, I don't give a fuck. Me, I say whatever's on my mind to the coaches, to the players. I don't care. I'm here to try to win games. So I came here and I was honestly like, honestly, it's a lot of talent in this locker room, and obviously you guys haven't won a ton, so it's a problem right there. So let's adjust that, and after we adjust that, I think we can kind of put all our ducks in a row from there. But just going on, being honest. Told Cat, you need to impact winning at every level. I gave him examples. I always give him examples of Kawhi and James Harden being with those guys. How Anthony Edwards, you need to be explosive and there every night on your treatment on your body. How it's important. And D'Lo, I just need you to be the best form of you. And if you guys can do that, and with the supporting cast, I think we could be successful. So. It wasn't that hard at all. Usually my problem comes with the coaching because my demeanor is very, very, very strong in the locker room. Sometimes, obviously, coaches think I'm trying to take the shine from them. But with Coach Finch, I'm echoing everything he says in the locker room, so it just makes it that much easier.
No, you absolutely nailed it. You need truth tellers to build culture. And if you have one, that's great. If you have multiple guys that are truth tellers, this is totally off topic, but I want to mention that Pat is drinking a 1988 Charles. Is it 1988? I got the year
1988. 1988.
1988 Charles Krug Cabernet, and also has one of the biggest flex ever on his wrist right now.
Hey, man, I had to buy myself a nice good gift, man. I had to come here prepared, baby. I had to come here prepared.
Congrats, by the way. On your extension. And look, we anybody who wants to listen to the full interview, please go to. You can find it somewhere on the interwebs of our previous interview with Pat. We touched a bunch on your background. I think this is a good point. While you're flexing here, it is a good point to sort of bring this up. And you told a bunch of stories on that podcast. The two that really stuck out for me was that bus ride in Ukraine when you were texting your agent, and then you at the Wailing Wall in Israel. If you wouldn't mind just resharing some of those major moments along your journey from 2009 when you were drafted till 2013 when you played in the NBA while you were overseas.
Well, I get drafted by the Lakers, and I get traded to the Heat, and my whole process with everything. I'm excited. I'm trying to make a team. I got two children at the time. I'm trying to provide for them. At the time, I really didn't know how to run a team yet. So the Heat automatically, they send me back overseas. Get better at my craft, come back. I got a chance to, be in that summer with LeBron and Chris Bosh and D Wade and those guys. I learned a lot. And to fast forward, I'm playing on Christmas, game winning stop against LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the dynamic of both of them is like, you start here and, you think, it's the pinnacle of everything. And then, to be courtside at a game after I got extensions, while both, the Clippers and the Houston Rockets are playing, both teams that I played for, I'm in a vibe right now, JJ. I'm in a vibe right now, baby. For real. For real. Life is good, man. It really is. It really is.
I love that. I love that. Could you take us through the trade itself? So you had spent a few years with the Clippers. You helped build the culture there.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting on.
Yeah, you get traded to Memphis, but then you go to the T-Wolves. So can you sort of take us through those few days? I think it was 2 days actually, but take us through those 2 days, because I had read also that you had told the Clippers you wanted to go to the T-Wolves, straight up, just in the trade. So kind of take us through those 2 days in your world.
Well, better than anybody, L. Frank and the Clippers organization. And this is no discredit to them. I just felt like when me, Lou, and Trez got to the Clippers, I felt like we weren't Blake Griffin, we weren't DeAndre Jordan, we weren't Chris Paul, we weren't JJ Redick. That wasn't our era. We wanted to kind of have our own identity. And when we got there, it's like we changed it all up. And then you summed it up, and we're in the Western Conference Finals. Some of the team has never been done. So, me being, there from the beginning, I'm thinking it's contract extension. I'm thinking it's going to be easy, walk in, and they told me a number that I felt like it was borderline disrespectful, And so the conversation started me and L. Frank, and it was heated little conversation. And L. Frank's my guy. You know L. Frank. Like
love L. Frank. Love L. Frank.
Man, love him to death. And that's my guy. And I looked him in his face. I told him, my agent, like, man, L. Frank, no, he has to trade me. He has to trade me. You can't pay me. You got to trade me. He know that. And from that point, he told me, give me my teams. And Minnesota was in my top 3. And, I was able to go through Memphis. Didn't know how I felt about Memphis. Didn't know what really was going on. I talked to the GM. The GM goes, we see if we can, how it goes to summer camp. But in my mind, I'm summer camp, motherfucker. I'm the starting guard there next to Ja Morant. What the fuck are you talking about, summer camp? Whatever. Okay. Whatever. And then I go to Minnesota, and I say I'm gonna make the playoffs, and people again, they look at me like I'm crazy, and sitting in 7th place. I mean,
I think there's something to be said about the confidence, and as anyone who's watched you play or has played with you can attest, like you're a culture driver, you're a competitor, you play on winning teams, but there's probably a lot of people, and I wonder if you're comfortable with this, there's probably a lot of people that don't like you or think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And where do you sort of frame that in your mind? Like, how much does that get to you? How much are you aware of that?
No, obviously it's there all the time, but that's always been there. Like, that's the beauty of it. Like that's what gets me going. Like, oh yeah, I love that. Okay, I hear boos. Okay, I love that. But like, it's a polarizing figure with me. It's either you love me extremely, like a lot, or you hate me a lot. It's not like in the middle. And I'm comfortable with each role, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna just continue to let my work, my work show, and let the dominoes fall how they fall. I mean, you know how this game goes. It's all about longevity. Yeah. And from that draft class of me, Steph Curry, James Harden, all those guys, I'm drafted 41. I'm still here. I've been a 10-year starter in this league. Starter. Over $85 million, man. Like, trash or not, the numbers don't lie. So, it is what it is.
Pat, I was going to ask about keeping the edge and keeping the chip on your shoulder a little bit. I mean, you've been paid. You've won everywhere you've gone. Like we talked about, you've been paid now a bunch of different times. How do you force yourself to keep this same mentality all the time? Is this just like have you just always been this way? Like, is this
always? I just end of the season. Hey, what can we get better at? And I got a team full of guys. Body guys, skill guys. Just what can we get better at? What can we chip away? What do I need to do? I need to gain more. Do I need to lean out more? Is it that time for me to go vegan yet? Am I at that age? Like, we're always trying to chip away, man, at some, it's, I don't know. I'm chasing something, man. I don't know. And I keep getting better with time too. So, I mean, you got to stay at it.
You brought up your courtside appearance at the Rockets-Clippers game, which I thought was really neat. You came in a Zubac jersey, and he talked afterwards a little bit about you guys talk after every game. You're like his brother. Ty Lue had some great words for you. Terrence Mann had some nice things to say about you as well in terms of being a big builder of that culture that they had. And so it seems like your teammates love you. Have you had teammates that didn't love you? Because look, you said, you come into a locker room day one with the T-Wolves and you're calling guys out. Have you found that your personality has been abrasive to your own teammates at times?
I mean, maybe they felt some type of way when no one said anything. So, I mean, but everybody know I'm the ride or die though. If you're on my team, you know what's going on. Like, I'm the ride or die. I don't give a fuck. Put me on the hardest challenge. If that's to take away the pressure off Kawhi, PG, Lou, and Trez, or Cat and D'Angelo, or Anthony Edwards, whatever it is, put me on the biggest target. Let me get all the boos. Take the pressure off my teammates so they can play their purest basketball. Like, I'm gonna impact the game anyway, and that's just always been my mindset. Always.
My underlying theory on this is that NBA player, like anybody, all professional athletes, but NBA players, they want to be held accountable. I actually really believe this. Whether they are conscious of that or not, I don't know. Not everybody, but I believe NBA players want to be held accountable. And I've been in locker rooms where some guys haven't been, and I've been in locker rooms where everybody is. And so that, to me, like, I'm not surprised to hear you say that, like, you haven't had issues with teammates, because again, if you're a guy that comes out, you compete every night, you know what you stand for, it's really hard to not embrace that. And if you're the guy that's in somebody's ear, because again, all this stuff you're talking about with Kat or with Ant or with D'Angelo, that's all coming from a place of love, and all also coming from a place of, hey, I want to win. I want to win, you know? And I think that's, even if you're calling guys out, even if you're being truthful with them, and it's maybe not something they want to hear, it's hard not to embrace that.
Yeah. Yeah. But my biggest thing is like this, like JD, like, but if I do this, right, if I do the exact same thing I've done this year with the Timberwolves, but my last name is, I don't know, Butler, or my last name is
Paul.
I don't know, Paul, or my last name is Westbrook, they give me $100 million. Instead of $13 million, they give me $100 million to do the exact same job that I've done this year. And my question is, why do I get shortage? You know, like, that's always been my question coming in. My question has been, I've been an offensive player my whole career. I averaged 30 points in high school. I played for the USA team with Steph Curry. I averaged more points than him. I get to the NBA. I learn a whole new trait and master it. That's like Steph Curry being a defensive player in college, coming to the NBA and being Steph Curry. People will praise him. They give him gold. They throw roses at his feet. I do it. They look at me like I'm crazy. Help me understand it.
You and I both know that in general, and there's exceptions to this, Rudy Gobert is probably the exception, but in general, I'm using air quotes for the people listening and not watching, defensive players aren't valued the same way that offensive players are. Is that accurate?
Accurate. But why?
It's a great question. Ultimately, shouldn't it be about your impact on winning?
Winning.
Right.
But since my name isn't these big names, you know, instead of 170 million over 4 years, I take the 13. And I'm very, you know me, very blessed to take it. But I'm asking why. Because if you were an offensive player and you came into the NBA and you got first team, 2 second teams, you're in the playoffs, each year you're there, you're shooting 38% from the three your whole career. JJ Redick, these people will go crazy over you, JJ. Are you hearing me? You have $300 million, man. But since I'm Patrick Beverley and it's not a crazy story. I didn't go non-drafted. Like, I got drafted. Like, why is it different?
But don't you think, like, we talk about this with Drew all the time, and it's a little different maybe now after the championship and the Team USA stuff, but for the longest time, the casual fan, even maybe people in the league, didn't understand what he did. They didn't understand. You had to talk to the players to understand how good he was and how dominant he actually was. Not to compare you two at all, but to JJ's point, do you think that just people don't know how to necessarily understand when they're watching great defense? Like, they just don't know what they're looking at in the same way of, you know, someone who's going to put 28 points up a game or something like that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm watching film yesterday, and D'Angelo Russell gets a steal, gets an and one, crowd goes crazy, right? And I'm looking at the play like, and you know how media is, they cut off everything. And I'm looking at the play like, damn, if I didn't get the steal before that to outlet it to someone to give it to him, that play doesn't happen. So why is the half of the replay cut off where the most important part was? Like, you know, it's crazy to me, but that's the beauty of the game too, you know, and that shows you like a real basketball fan and just, oh yeah, he averages doing 26 a game, you know, those type of guys, you know.
I've gotten myself in some trouble recently, both on ESPN and the podcast, when I've tried to explain this to people, and a lot of fans will look at a box score and they'll watch the game. I'm not saying they'll watch the game. They'll look at a box score, they'll watch the game, and they'll say, "Oh, this guy had 28 points and 7 assists. He's awesome." You know, and like, yeah, you have to be a really fucking good player to score 28 or to average 22 in the NBA. I agree. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to get that doesn't always mean you're going to be on a winning team. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, you need, like, Pat, you need to play with the James. Like, I was this way too. I needed
Obviously,
to play
right.
with Chris. I needed to play with
Right.
Dwight. I need to play with Joe. Like, I know what I am. I am going to embrace that, but I need to have a tier 1 player, just like you needed James, you needed Cat, all that stuff. Like,
Right.
it's a fact. But when you start building out rosters, you start talking about teams, I think it's pretty easy to dissect who impacts winning and who doesn't. And maybe that's crazy. But to me, it's not looking at a spreadsheet and looking at numbers. Right? We have to take into account personalities. We have to take into account culture drivers. We have to take into account people that fucking compete every night, which is an A1 skill to me.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm
you're
wrong.
not. It's just a different world we live in. It really is. It really is. I mean, it's almost like backwards a little bit. And I'm not discrediting the guys that average 27 because it's obvious, like you said, it's. I mean,
Hoopers.
to do that consistently,
Hoopers.
it's
100%.
hoopers. Like, but like, what are we paying for? Are we like, or what are we doing it for? Are we doing it to win? Or are we doing it for numbers? Because if we're doing it to win, then guys who impact winning should have the same type of payment scale to guys who are skilled offensively also. Like, what makes them different than the guy who averages 8 but impacts the game more? Like, what's the difference?
I love, by the way, this thought just popped in my head. I love the fact that you just signed an extension for a lot of money. Let's be real,
Yeah.
Pat. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You got a Richard Mille watch on. You're drinking an 88 Krug. I'm sure that outfit, that shirt had to have, it looks like silk. It had to have cost a lot of money. Versace, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a beautiful apartment with floor to ceiling windows and you're fucking angry still. Like, this is what.
No. I'm hungry. It's a difference. I'm hungry. Like, people are telling me, like, man, Pat, man, you got the contract. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck that. I wanted a 2-year.
Yeah.
You feel me? I wanted a 3-year. Fuck that. And that's just how I am. And it's not coming from like a greed. It's just coming from me knowing my work. Me knowing that, man, I've been to Western Conference Finals twice with 2 different teams.
Look, I think what you're alluding to, one of the things you're alluding to, and there's obviously a lot to unpack in all this stuff, and I think we've done a decent job unpacking some things and feelings. But one of the things you're alluding to is validation. And look, there are plenty of ways to be validated. And as a professional athlete, you can be validated through winning. You can be validated through awards. You also get validated by your contract. This is how people view me. This is how, and it's because our shit is public.
Right.
Right. It's very easy to compare our value to our peers. Well, that guy got that. Well, hold on a second. And that's where I think, look, we're human beings. Like, I know you're appreciative. I certainly was more than appreciative every single dollar I earned in the NBA, but I earned that fucking money. And there were definitely times where I'm like, I can't believe that motherfucker got that. I'm not jealous. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for everybody that's ever earned money in the NBA. But there are times when I'm like, I'm a little jealous of that.
Like, damn, like, okay. I respect, I fuck with Spencer Dinwiddie. That's my man. I love him. I love his game. I love everything he brings to the game. But damn, Pat Beverley get hurt a whole year. You be damn sure I'm not coming off and getting anything close to that. Anything close to even 13.
Yeah.
And my question is why? Like,
do you guys think, JJ, I'm curious about this from your perspective too, being whatever people are calling you a shooter. You know what I mean? The idea that you're like, do you feel like there are people in management that think that when you do these roles, you're just replaceable? That they can just find that like Pat, like I would make the argument you're not replaceable on any team. JJ would make the argument the same thing for you, but that people they feel like they can just find the next Pat Beverley, and just or like make somebody the next Pat Beverley or make somebody the next JJ Redick.
Tommy, this is when I brought up this spreadsheet in my hand. This is absolutely how front office is doing. There's advanced stats and projections, and they say, oh, if we replace him with this guy, we're only going to maybe lose 0.2 wins, and we can get this guy for 50% off what this guy's asking for. It's absolutely the case. What, again, and this is where I said it, I'll say it again. What people are not taking into account is the person, right? We live in an age of analytics, and we are stifling people's personalities and creativity because of that. And in a team sport, you need people. You need personalities, and that shit matters. So, yeah, like you can pay an extra whatever for a great shooter, or you can get a guy that approximates that. But what is that guy doing to your culture? What is that guy? How does that guy impact the attitude of your best player? I went through that in Philly, man. I went through that in Philly. I have nothing. I loved Philly. Nothing bad to say about Philly. But like, look, I when I re-signed in my second year, I went to one of the owners' houses, and we were having lunch, and like I looked at some stuff, and like I saw a spreadsheet, and I saw like, okay, I see how they're making decisions now. Like that's absolutely the case. Speaking of validation, one of the ways that a player like you gets validated is through defensive awards. And as you mentioned, you've been all defense 3 times. I saw your tweet last night about defensive player of the year, and I'm sure Jason can, as we're talking here, can put the actual tweet up on the screen when we post this. But this brings me to a very like serious question I have for you, in that what should be the criteria for defensive player of the year? Because like sixth man seems pretty straightforward to me. Coach of the year generally seems pretty straightforward. MVP and defensive player of the year, like there's all different conversations about, and we're doing that right now this year for MVP. It to me it's a 2-man race, but again, DeMar's been awesome, Ja's been awesome. But defensive player of the year is the one thing that year to year I'm just like, what?
Right.
Even the all defensive teams, because I think players recognize more who's checking who, right?
Yeah.
So for you, what do you think the criteria should be for defensive player of the year?
The coaches. Just ask the coaches. Like, coaches prepare for games, and they know, damn, I got Patrick Beverley on Steph tonight. Let's try to get Steph as many guard-to-guard screens so they can switch. Okay, if you're doing that, that tells me right there that you don't want Patrick Beverley guarding Stephen Curry right there, which means that I'm affecting your offense already. Defense, Instead, they go by numbers, and they go by win shares, and they go by this, and they go by that. And if you go by that, you're going to get numbers of all people that's 6'9" and above. Like, but to be a 6'1" guard, to average a steal and a block and top 5 in charge, it's like, again, if I was Steph Curry, they would look at this and be like, man, he's the best defensive player in the world, and this and that. If I was Matthew Dellavedova, if I was TJ McConnell, these people, if I was Chris Paul, if Chris Paul even did this, they would run away with it. How's he averaging a block at this age? Shit, I'm 33. So I ain't 26, but when I'm doing it, it's like I'm supposed to do it, or whatever, but I'm 33 years old, career high in blocks, like what are we talking about? But never in there for whatever reason. Maybe my tactics, maybe I'm too physical, maybe I'm not with the game.
You do hack. You do hack a lot. You do foul a lot.
What's the definition of hack?
Someone who fouls a lot.
And if the ref doesn't call it, that means it isn't a foul.
You've been top 3 or top 20 in the NBA 3 times in your career in total fouls. You foul. Sometimes.
Wait, to
your point, I just want to you can jump in right after this. I just want to follow up on something he said, that when you talk about a lot of these advanced stats, of course, and we talk about defensive win shares, for example, like a lot of these advanced stats do favor defensive RPMs. Another example, a lot of these advanced stats do favor big players, and specifically guys that rebound the ball a lot. And so for a point guard, other than maybe Russ, there's not a lot of point guards that are going to go out and get 8 to 12 defensive rebounds a game. And so I think
it's
those
Patrick
stats, but I'm saying those stats generally hurt smaller players, and they favor the big guy.
But it's Patrick Beverley. I've been on a team where it was the top 3 point guards in rebound. It was Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Patrick Beverley. Me and James Harden were on the same team. I'm probably the best historically offensive rebounder that's ever played the game, Jay.
I hated having to box you out.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, okay, if you're not going to give me the credit for them defensive rebounds, then I'm a hell of a player offensively then, since I'm getting offensive rebounds. Like, wait, you have to give me something. You just can't take everything away from me and just be like, like, okay, what else?
Pat, what do you think makes you what makes you so good at it?
Just will. That's it. Just will. And that's all defense is will. But how you the best defensive player, JJ, and you don't guard the best defensive players?
Okay, let's talk about Rudy Gobert in the playoffs last year.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
He is.
Phenomenal. He's the game.
Great at what he does. Actually, maybe the best ever at what he does.
Change the game.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you the best.
It doesn't.
It does not.
Do you you think one of the criteria, again, we'll go back to criteria, should be that if you're the defensive player of the year, you're all defensive guy, you should be guarding, you should be manning up essentially and guarding other teams' best players.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying if it's 5 seconds to go and you give anyone a basketball to go get a bucket, I feel confident in myself to get a stop more than anyone else. I really do. And that's any size. That's any player. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's anything. You put 5 seconds on the clock, mano y mano. I have to get a stop. I feel very comfortable.
Who was it the other day, by the way, that you were guarding and you waved off the help and they drove by you and hit a floater? I'm trying to remember who this was. It was
Siakam.
It was Siakam. Yeah.
He dribbles up,
yeah.
But they, of course they don't show everything. He dribbles up, I poke at it, but he takes the ball from half court again. He dribbles up again, I poke at it again. I listen to my defensive of game plan. I send him to his weak hand, right hand, waiting on my help. He makes it lay. Yeah. But they go show the lay. They ain't gonna show when I dipped his ass twice before that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'll take it though. You feel me? And then that one bucket, I told you he doesn't play defense. He's all talk. Like, that's how it is. That's how it is with
Pat. Do you have a guy this year that you just, when you got to match up with him, you just hate it?
No, not this year. Not this year. I've done a lot to my body this summer. I've done a lot of game planning on different players this summer. I'm locked in better than I think I've ever been in my career this year.
I want to ask you, because you guys played them in back-to-back years, and you played us last year, and that's the Mavs, and just that matchup with Luka, and kind of the mindset that you have when you're guarding, because you guarded a bunch of different positions and a bunch of different size people, but that matchup of guarding Luka, what makes him so tough and so different really than, say, a Ja or a Steph? I know all these guys are different, Ja, Steph, Dame, but Luka specifically, what makes him such a tough matchup?
One, that his intelligence, like he's physical as fuck and flops at the same time, which is the exact same thing I do. Physical as fuck, motherfucker, swipe at me. She's trying to kill me, ref. Get him, he's trying to kill me. And he's the exact same way. He initiates the contact, hits you. And it's not like, as basketball players, you can feel like, the muscle, and it's like, it's not muscle with him. And that's no, discredit to his body or anything, but that's just how he's made up. It's that kind of that flabby solid type of, just leaning on you. And then you lean on the back and he, put his heads up and put a lot of pressure on the referee. So you can't really guard him physically like the type of way I want to guard him. He did a good job at exploiting that. Real good job.
Yeah, I mean, that series last year was amazing. He was amazing. Kawhi in Game 6 in Dallas when we had a closeout game and got up early,
amazing,
and just willed you guys back into the game, was one of the best performances. And Luka had some performances in that series as well, but the Kawhi's Game 6 was one of the best performances I've seen in post.
Yeah, no, he's a stud. He's different too. Like he could turn that switch on real fast, man. He's different, really different. I wish, and a player like you, I wish that you had the opportunity to be around a player like him. You would enjoy a superstar like that. Really, yeah. You personally, you would definitely enjoy a person like that.
Just because there's no bullshit. It's just work.
No bullshit. Very professional. Very locked in on the game plan. Knows what's going on offensively and defensively. Very, very high Q. Doesn't take the shortcuts. Team everything. Winning everything. And I'm gonna go give you buckets, and I'm gonna go guard the best player on the end also.
Yeah. Does he talk to you guys? Because the joke with him is that he's a robot. But I assume behind the scenes, off camera, like he does talk to his teammates.
Man, we were really close. We still are. Like, you know, I wore the Zubac jersey to the game. Hey man, fuck you didn't wear my why you didn't wear my jersey to the game? You know, shit like that. So yeah.
I was going to ask about that. You mentioned the Clippers run earlier, but like, what kind of pride, just in retrospect, do you take of like taking that team to the conference finals? I mean, with all the injuries, everything you went through, just because you didn't get to the finals, like, it was still an incredible run, an incredible moment for that franchise. And obviously you have to give a lot of credit to Ty and, you know, what they've put together there. But even looking back at it, like, what are sort of your memories of, you know, those months and how everything sort of went down?
I think we were so locked in and like so focused. Like, we were down, talking about huge in the playoffs. And the demeanor of the team never like went down. No one pointed fingers. Fuck it. We was always like, fuck it. We put ourselves in this shit. We got to dig ourselves out. Like, it was never any like, you didn't do this vibes. The locker room was always light. T. Lue had us locked in, like what we wanted to do. He didn't coach relationships. He coached what group of players can help me win this series. You know, I wouldn't start in the whole season, get to the first round of playoffs. I don't play at all. To finish and starting in the Western Conference Finals, you know? So, like, you got to appreciate a coach like that. Because a lot of coaches, they coach relationships instead of, like, who really should be playing.
Did you take any offense to that?
Not one. JJ, I ran every film session. Every single film session I ran. Anytime it was a timeout, I tell Lou, they're subbing such and such out. I'm locked in because I knew my time was going to come.
Yeah.
It's the easy part. Fuck what you mean? Why would I pout? Because I'm not playing in the first round of the playoffs, motherfucker. I was selling dimes and nickels on the fucking corner. Who am I to be angry about not fucking playing? My time go come, and it did.
Yeah.
And I was ready.
What happened with Chris? What was going through your mind?
You know Chris. So people don't understand.
I know Chris.
Right.
I know Chris.
So people don't understand. People don't understand. Me and Chris, what we have has been going on since I was in high school. And see, a lot of people don't know the backstory, but me and Chris, we clearly understand the backstory. So, like, I got invited to a LeBron James camp, you know, the big Nike LeBron James camp when he was in college. Ironically, my roommate at the time, Stephen Curry. And people don't know a lot about that. Me and him, every basketball camp, USA team, he's my roommate. Every single time since we were younger. Sick story there. So, you know, you're on a certain team and you get a chance to play against LeBron. I think OJ Mayo was there and Chris Paul was there. I killed them, destroyed them. I'm talking about in front of every fucking NBA scout out there. I'm just a sophomore in fucking college. I'm going at them every fucking play. I'm calling them a child. And then I see them in the NBA. So, of course, that energy is going to roll over to the NBA, you know. And he does, you know, Chris, he does slick shit. Like, you know, people don't know that's a little dirty motherfucker, man. Chris know that too, man. You know, I know you didn't want to say it, but I say it for you, though. I know that was your teammate. And I love CP, bro. I love what he brings to the game. I love, like he changed the game also. So, like, you have to give him all his props, but, like, he knows how to finesse the system too. Like, and you got to give him credit for that too. So, you know, it was just one of those ones I just had to get off my chest. And I called him right after. Too, that same night.
I do know Chris, and I love Chris, and I also, for a long period of time in my life, hated Chris. And Chris knows this, and it's fine. It's fine. We've moved past that. Was there something he did though? Like, was that just an act of rage, or was there something that sort of or an act of frustration? Was there something that sort of set you off that you would shove him like that?
No, it was just frustration. You know, added on to, like, you know, you go. And, you know, the refs aren't going to foul out Chris Paul. You go for a layup, he pulls, you go to the side, you fall on your side. I don't know, you miss layup real bad. It looks like you're trash, but the whole time, like, ref, he just literally yanking you out the air. Like, you know, like, you guys didn't see that, but okay. You know, you shoot a jump shot floater, he elbows you in the hip or some shit like that. And, you know, you push him, whoa. You know, Chris, man. man. So, but he does the job real well, so you got to respect it, man. You got to. I love his game.
I wanted to ask you about some of your current teammates, Ant in particular. He's a human highlight reel, but what do you think just being around him? What makes him special? What have you seen so far? And what do you sort of think is next for him?
Man, if I say this, man, I know y'all go look at me like I'm crazy and I go put all that pressure on that kid. But man, I told him, man, you got a chance, man. You got a chance, brother, to be Michael Jordan, brother. You really do. I've been around a lot of them. Man, the kid doesn't indulge in anything negative, JJ. And you know what I mean? Off the court, he doesn't indulge in anything negative, just all positivity, all video games. His talent level and skill level is crazy, man. He has a chance to be really, really, really special in this league.
The knock on him when he was coming out of college was I don't want to say it was like competitive level or his competitiveness, but there was a quote, and I'm going to butcher the exact quote, but basically he said, I don't even really like basketball. I'm just good at it. That was basically what he said. So I think the knock on him is that competitiveness, that drive, something that you have. Like, you can be great and not have that. You can be a role player like me and you. I'm not saying I'm not going to put myself in your category. A role player like you, and have that drive, have that competitiveness. What made MJ was he had all the physical stuff and had all the skill. Plus, he was a psycho,
yeah.
You know. And have you seen anything? Obviously, Ant does things on a basketball court at his position and his age that, like, I'm like, holy shit. But have you seen something that you're like, oh, he's got that inner drive that can make him one of the all-time greats?
The boy could pick up a club and be the best tennis player it is. Like, he was destined for greatness regardless. He's one of those type of people. Anything he touched growing up that he put his energy to will turn to gold. Anything. He wanted to play volleyball and be the greatest volleyball player, he could do that. He wanted to play baseball and et cetera, he can do that. He's gifted. And you don't see a lot of that in a lot of people. So for me to be here amongst him and to kind of nurture him through this whole NBA process, what to do day to day, how to take care of your body, it's everything happens for a reason. Everything. So yeah, I'm telling you, he's gonna be a stud.
Did you have any specific moments with him, any dunks or anything like that, where we talk about this a lot with different guys, where you're either on the court or on the bench and you're just like, what the fuck did I just see?
Yeah. Like last game, he did something. He had the ball at half court. We was attacking, who we attacking from Cleveland? Osman and anything. And they didn't want to switch, so we was going guard to guard screen. And he must have threw the ball in between, right hand, took off left leg, cocked it, right hand, switch, left hand finish. 20 years old, on the road in Cleveland, 20 years old, man. Like, if Chris Paul don't play in that All-Star game, the kid is in the All-Star game. So yeah, he got some shit, man. He got some shit that's scary, man. And to add that with Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Lo, it's man, we got a good thing going here. We got a real good thing going here.
I was going to ask you about Karl too, just because he's another one, who has a
freakish
skill set for someone that size.
Hall of Fame. Easy too. Now. Season ended now, he's going to Minnesota Hall of Fame, NBA Hall of Fame. Kid's special, man. And he got tray work, JJ. He got tray work. And he's one of those guys that's he's been so used to basketball his whole life. He doesn't need 25 reps, 30 reps, 50 reps to be prepared. He's been doing it his whole life. His dad is a coach, great man. He comes from a very disciplined household. Hard work was always, a priority coming up. So he'd go out there, he'll shoot 10, 12. Pat, I feel good today. I'm going to I'm just gonna dominate my matchup tonight, Pat. That's what I'm gonna do. And end the game 30, 14, 6, 80 from the free throw line, 45 from the tray.
I've always been envious of those guys. Not that he hasn't put in the work, but I've always been envious of those guys that when they build up their skill set enough, they feel like, and I probably should have been better about this, but like, nah, I don't need to do this crazy routine every single fucking day and to get myself prepared. I wish I could go pregame and just like shoot 10 shots and be like, all right, I'm good.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
He's sick.
He's sick.
I go, he come in, I can't. How does it feel? Up like it feels every day. Good, really good. I just motherfucker, man. It's crazy, man. He's a unicorn. He is different.
That's amazing. Every night we're faced with the same question. What do I want to eat? Maybe a home-cooked favorite, but that means you have to trek to the store. Or maybe something exciting and new, but who wants to get out of their comfy clothes and get dressed to go out? Well, DoorDash connects you with everything you want, whenever and however you want it. Get what you want to eat right now and right to your door with DoorDash. Along with the restaurants you love, you can now get groceries and other essential items delivered with DoorDash. Get drinks, snacks, and other household items in under an hour.
With over 300,000 partners, you can support your neighborhood go-tos or choose from your favorite national restaurants like Popeyes, Chipotle, and Cheesecake Factory. Ordering is super easy, and your items will be left safely outside your door when you choose contactless delivery drop-off.
For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code JJ. That's 25% off up to $10 value and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code JJ. That's an insane deal. Don't forget, that's code JJ for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change, terms apply. Are you having trouble sleeping? Sometimes it can be a huge challenge just to get a solid night's sleep. Well, Plus CBD can help you make sleepless nights a thing of the past. Daily use of Plus CBD sleep gummies gets you the rest you need so you can wake up feeling focused and refreshed. Formulated by a team of medical experts and doctors, Plus CBD sleep gummies taste great and are made with award-winning CBD combined with melatonin, magnolia bark, and lemon balm.
There are also Calm Gummies, which provide you with a relaxing sense of comfort and relaxation whenever you need it, and pain relief topicals so you can get the most out of your workouts without as much soreness or pain, among several other products.
Yeah, Tommy, I've tried almost all their products, and they all really help me out. Visit pluscbdoil.com and enter promo code JJ for 40% off your order. Again, shop now at pluscbdoil.com and enter promo code JJ for 40% off your order. It's no secret that cryptocurrency may represent the future of money. It's one of the most exciting investment opportunities to come around for some time. But what about taxes? Well, with an Alto Crypto IRA, you can trade crypto like Bitcoin and avoid or defer the taxes. Trade all you want without the tax headache. You can create an account in just a few minutes with no setup charges and enjoy secure trading 24/7 through Alto's integration with Coinbase.
Yep, Alto has industry-leading security to keep your mind at ease and multiple ways to fund your account, such as making a cash contribution, transferring cash from an existing IRA, or utilizing a rollover from an old 401k.
So, are you ready to take your investments to the next level? Diversify like the pros and trade without tax headaches. Open an Alto Crypto IRA with as little as $10. Just go to altoira.com/3. That's ALTOIRA.com/3, 3 spelled out, THREE. Start investing in cryptocurrency today. Go to altoira.com/3.
Yeah.
Pat, last thing before we let you go, just because it was recent and your perspective on things and your candidness on things are always so enjoyable. But the tweet about Russ, so just to provide some history on this, when he played for the Thunder, there was a collision at half court and he got hurt. And then a couple years ago, he said that Patrick Beverley tricked y'all and all he does is run around. And then the other night after, again, another off game for Russ and the Lakers lost, you wrote that he was the real magician. How much have you held on to that?
I call it perfect timing, divine timing. People looked at me differently. People around the NBA, coaches, players, after that, people were just taking the ball, just going at me. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, all because of what one person said. And that's how the media is. Like, if one person says one thing, that's how they take it. They take it just for that. Like, P really looked at it like, people like, yeah, maybe this motherfucker don't play defense. The only thing he does is run around. So obviously, had one bad game. Oh, Russ was right. And I knew this motherfucker, only thing he did was run around and stuff like that. And, there's no fun when the rabbit got the gun now. And I'm over here in Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm chilling. I'm trying to get out this play-in situation and trying to get 6th seed and, just a real humble tweak, forgive but not forgotten type of thing, Perfect timing too, huh? Trade deadline. Yeah. Maniac. Patrick Beverley is a maniac. I am. I don't give a fuck. So what?
It was perfect. It was perfect timing.
It was perfect timing. Perfect time. He damaged my career. Like, people, coaching staffs and players, fans, they looked at me way different. They looked at me like, you know what? He don't play defense. He just yells and run around. Well, okay, woo, and held on to that. And some people still do. And perfect time. Perfect.
Pat, always entertaining. Always good to catch up with you too, man.
No problem, baby.